Well, it's the beginning of June and here is your Courchevel lift update for summer 2023. This is 150 days of winter. You get this view. It's been an incredible day. Thank you all for everybody. Of course, the primary thing I want to talk about is the Saulire lift behind me. It's looking more and more like the cable car will not be fixed for next winter, which means that that'll be 3 years without the, if you want to call it, the flagship lift from Courchevel, which it's not surprising, but here are my overall thoughts on it, because what do you know, I'm a lift expert. Anyway, if you didn't know it, about 3 years ago, just before the winter, they were safety testing the Saulire, and the safety brakes stopped working, and basically they destroyed both cabins. Basically, there's a link up there to the original video that I did of this. Not only did they damage the actual cabins, but they also damaged the cradles, etc. Blah 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 blah. It was built just before the Winter Olympics back in the early 90s. So it's getting on a bit. And to replace it, you're looking at about, I would say, at least an 8-figure sum. Now, that is an awful lot of money for what I think the benefits that the Saulire give. Primarily at the moment, the only real benefit that the Saulire lift gives is access to the panoramic restaurant up there and easier access to the couloirs off the top, which that doesn't include an awful lot of people. Okay, last winter we found that you know, with it being out of action, that of course loads of people use the Vizelle bubble or they use the Suisse chair. We'll go into those later in a bit. So of course, to spend that sort of money just to just for a small number of people is, I think, not really worth it. And to actually replace it again is not really worth it because of the way that it is designed. There is one large pylon in the middle of the piste, whereas if you wanted to replace it with a bubble, you're going to have lots of little pylons going up the hill, which again is not suitable. Let me go and just move across the mountain. The penchant for building new telepheriques I think is something way in the past. Okay, yeah, 30 years ago it was all the rage. 30 years, yeah, 30 years ago it was all the rage. But I think nowadays, you know, what with COVID, do you really want to be stuck inside like a box with a bunch of like farting and burping Frenchmen? Yeah, okay, other nationalities do expel gases as well. But use this as an example, okay? And I'm using data from the Sim de Caron. They were built at roughly the same time. Sim de Caron transfers about 1,500 people an hour, whereas the new bubble that was built from Orel up to Sim de Caron transfers, I think, about 2,500 people an hour, and it's a 10-man bubble, you know, and so that gives you a comparison between old style telepheriques and new style bubbles. Of course, not wanting to, but of course, if you go and watch another video, I went to like not a graveyard for old bubbles, but of course all the old telepheriques from the Grand Montet and Chamonix, like sitting there waiting for new homes. They're all being returned in. But anyway, that's another video. If I was juggling with the budget and I was asked to spend it either on the Saulire or spend it elsewhere, here were my suggestions. Okay, behind me I've got the top of the Verdon bubble. Okay, if I move just around there, I've got the Vizelle bubble, which is there. Okay, they are at the moment separate bubbles. Okay, I would like it if Courchevel went and took a note out of Mirabel's handbook, so to speak, and where all of their bubbles go from the resort directly to the top of the mountain, and there's a center station. Okay, but it's one single line. If it's bad weather, they can of course stop the bubbles at the mid station, and so you have all the benefits with which at the moment when people are coming up here, they of course get off the Verdon, they then have to walk across, and they then have to queue again to get up the Vizelle, which is, I'm going to say, not ideal. Of course, this would just involve basically bridging the gap between these two, and I'm going to say I can't imagine it costing that much. Like that. Well, it would cost a damn sight less than it would to rebuilding the Saulire completely. Okay. And of course, also, if you wanted to really splash out and upgrade the bubbles at the same time, you could, again, I'm citing the new bubble that was built in Arel, which is a very nice 10-man bubble, as opposed to this 8-man bubble that is currently there. Okay, again, more cost, but if you're going to change it, well, you might say, why don't we change it completely? Just my 2 cents. One more lift to talk about. So just around the mountain, we have the venerable Suisse chair, one of 3 lifts that go up to the top of the summit, along with Vizelle and Marmots. But unlike Vizelle and Marmots, this is an old 4-man. I was going to say it's probably the oldest chair, or one of the oldest chairs in Courchevel, and considering the amount of people that use it, it should be upgraded to a 6. Okay, whenever there is a nice day and people don't want to be stuck in a bubble at Vizelle, they come down to Suisse. Okay, and it's not just to ski down the Black Run or anything like that. It's because it's a great little chair. However, it is a bottleneck, and like I say, upgrading it to a 6-man would solve so many problems. Again, just my 2 cents, so to speak. So here are my final thoughts. Okay, Courchevel prides itself in calling itself the most exclusive, the best ski resort in all of France. And I'm going to say, in the past, every year or so, there would be a new lift would be built in Courchevel and the 3 Valleys as well. And you know what? We have things like the new Point de la Masse. We have legends over in Mirabel. However, since building the new bubble down from Le Prat, Courchevel hasn't really upgraded anything. And when you have lifts like, you know, Suisse, instead of trying to like recreate the Saulire, upgrade something else, get rid of these bottlenecks. You know what? Just my thoughts. As always, this is a discussion. Leave your comments down below. Click the old like button. And I will see you all in the next video. Ciao.